What's up, YouTubers? We're being manipulated. I think most people realize that by now. The YouTube algorithm, the Facebook algorithm, Twitter, and many other social medias manipulate us to think certain things and do certain things that are not in our benefit. I've been thinking about that a lot. It recently has come to my attention that some, for lack of a better term, YouTube influencers in the self-help space make $15,000. This kind of surprised me. They make $15,000 for a product they sell. And basically, this is a personalized product where the client flies to them and gets personalized self-development help. And basically all they get, is told to sit down and meditate, think happy thoughts, things of that nature. Now, it was kind of surprising that you could get away and sell a product for 15 grand and be told this is how you're going to become a better man or woman by sitting down and meditating. You would think that kind of advice would maybe go for $500 or $1,000, maybe $2,500. I know some top level, I don't like call them coaches, but for lack of a better term, coaches, they're in the top of their field. They charge $1,000 to $2,500 for, let's say, 8 hours of their time, whether it be online or whether it be in a city, wherever the client is. So I was just thinking, wow, that's quite a bit of a price difference. And I further found out from some of the influencers that I've come across, their product and their service isn't that great. That's another thing that's irritating me. Now, I don't know why I was triggered, but in some of these self-help genres, I'm pretty familiar with that. Like, just to say, for example, I know trading, so I know like forex trading. I'm familiar with options trading, and I'm a little bit familiar with cryptocurrencies and things like that. But like, just as an example, you can spend $2,500 for like $2,500 to $5,000 or $10,000 a year for private coaching, how to trade currencies, foreign currencies, things like that, or even options for that matter. And a lot of times, this coaching doesn't really help you. In fact, a lot of this coaching is set up so you actually won't succeed. It will get you confused. It won't really give you the solution like in the marketing material, and you won't really make a profit. In fact, what can actually happen is you'll blow out your account, and then you'll be told that you didn't try hard enough, you didn't work hard enough, and if they're really, really bad, they'll call you a loser, and then they'll literally upsell you for another product. And some of these people are so bad, here's what they'll do. Now, when they're upselling you on a product that's really, really expensive that they know they're going to get a charge back, they will not let you pay with a credit card. Now, you're probably thinking, well, some of these products are $15,000 to $30,000. Well, some people have credit limits that would allow them to buy that program on a credit card and then charge it back if they felt they got used and abused and scammed. Well, some of these marketers, what they do is you'll send you money to, say, Southeast Asia, and it has to be a bank wire, in other words, cash. And you'll notice real quick, wherever these markets are from, say they're from the US or Canada, they won't have you send the money to the United States or Canada. They'll have you send it offshore for them. Again, let's say in this example, Singapore. And then the money in Singapore can't be charged back because it's not on a credit card because you sent it to a bank. So then right away they take that money and then they transfer that money to yet another offshore jurisdiction. Let's say somewhere in Europe. Let's also say that's a place in Europe where they have residency, or they're something that leads to residency, that leads to second passport, probably because they're cheating on their taxes. Who knows? I don't know. But anyways, as you can see, it's a little bit complicated. Not it's really complicated. This is a really simple example of what typically happens. So they'll sell you a high-priced product that doesn't give you any results, and then they'll blame it on you that you didn't work hard enough. And then what happens, they'll try to upsell you on a more expensive product, and they'll keep doing it. So you never really learn the skill or trade or whatever it is you're trying to learn. You're just being used and abused. Now, let me just point out, I'm not picking on Tai Lopez, but a lot of the Tai Lopez people are associated with some of these other people that I'm talking about. I don't want to name names, but my point is a lot of these really somewhat or very famous online marketers, YouTube marketers, Facebook marketers, and I'll be more specific, Instagram marketers. They use the same people to hook you into these programs, to pay for their products and service, and then they're constantly upselling you to a higher and higher product. And the whole idea from some of the marketing people, if you get lucky and find out who they are, they will tell you the whole point of the product is not to get you to succeed, but to get you bamboozled, confused, unsure, and then you don't achieve your goal. The idea is to upsell on another program. So you're just going through this sales funnel after sales funnel after sales funnel, liquidating your cash. Why do I bring it all up? And I know I'm picking on certain people. I just mentioned Tai Lopez. The actual people I'm thinking about, I don't want to mention. I'm just saying they're associated with him. By that, you may know who I'm talking about. And just so you know, these are not things I bought. These are just things I came across because they're of interest to me. And I didn't really realize how bad it was. I admit I'm not perfect. I knew it was bad. I had a suspicion it was bad. Why do I say that? Because during this whole pandemic, there's been a lot of really, really aggressive marketing from all kinds of people all across the political spectrum to get you to do stuff, mainly to spend your money on solutions and to scare you to buy solutions, to get you to buy their products. And here's what I think sometimes is going on. I think some of these marketers are really, really clever, and they realize with coronavirus, with various countries and governments around the world looting their treasures one last time, this could be the last time before there's a massive, massive recession or a massive, massive depression. So basically what they're doing is they're doing like what a lot of the governments are doing. They're using deceitful techniques and tactics to get you to buy their programs one last time before the whole ship sinks into the ocean. And they don't have rich consumers. And part of this, it has to do with credit. The reason I keep mentioning credit and credit cards, a lot of these people will upsell you by using your credit card. In fact, you'll notice when you're going through the sales funnel, they'll ask you repeatedly to give you your credit card, and they'll say they won't charge you. Oftentimes they do, which I'm not sure if that's against the law or not. But anyways, they'll ask for your credit card, and they'll constantly ask you if you have another one or another one. And in some cases, just like colleges in the U.S., like some of the sleazer colleges, they'll actually help you fill out credit card applications to pay for the college. These online marketers actually do the same thing. So they want to find out, are you credit worthy? Do you have credit? Do you have enough credit to buy their programs? And once they figure all that out, they find kind of the loopholes so you can't charge it back, or they make it harder for you to charge back. And then the ones that are really good, if they have a really high priced product, what they do is they get you to sell or get you to send money to like an offshore jurisdiction for them. Say they're from Canada, they'll have you send it to, say, Singapore. Say they're from the U.S., they'll have you send it to Singapore. I'm only picking on Singapore. In the past, it would have been Hong Kong, but now with what's going on in Hong Kong, people send stuff to Singapore. Actually, there's actually better locations in Singapore. I'm just don't want to get too down the rabbit hole on this stuff. But anyways, that's just been on my mind a lot, how even the politics of the U.S. and the Eurozone, influencers are used or employed to get you to think a certain way, to get you to vote a certain way, to get you to take certain action steps that will actually help the elites or the establishment loot your wallet one more time. Well, marketers do the same thing. It's just been on my mind recently because there were some self-help gurus that I had followed. Well, for one reason, I didn't connect to me that they were just as bad as these other marketers. I mentioned like FX. I know a lot about FX. I know a lot of the scammers out there. I also am very familiar with options. There's a lot of options programs where people are making hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars to try to teach you option strategies that aren't effective at all. They know they're not effective. And there's one gentleman, I can't remember his name. If I could, I would put it in the description, but he's actually a fairly wealthy guy. He's actually a successful option trader, but he takes a lot of these famous marketing gurus options courses, which can be quite expensive, but he can afford it, and then he reviews them, and they almost always fall short. And since I've been involved in this space, and I know some of the better traders who have programs that actually do work. It's funny, those guys, even though they're marketers and even though they're pretty good at what they do, their programs are $1,000 or $500 or quite a bit cheaper, and they actually work. And then the ones that are like $2,500, $5,000 or $10,000, the ones that aren't really effective, but because they're priced higher and because they're marketed a certain way, you think they're actually better, but they really don't work. In fact, they get a lot of bad press about it, a lot of bad reviews. You know what typically happens? So then when these people get kind of famous for being really bad, they'll either do a legal name change or they'll get an LLC or they'll find someone else to market for them, and then behind the scenes with their new LLC, they'll be behind the scenes orchestrating all this. That's why I mention all that, because I'm more familiar with FX space, options trading, stuff like that. That's just more my genre. I'm also understanding and familiar with people like Ty Lopez, but it's not exactly my cup of tea. But it's been brought to my attention that a lot of these marketers use Ty Lopez's team, and they're just taking lots of people's money and not providing any value, getting lots of bad reviews. And it's just all this comes together because with coronavirus, with governments being more and more manipulative people, with governments from Saudi Arabia, China, the United States, and I'd imagine Canada, New Zealand, Australia, they employ these influencers to get you to see things a certain way that's not in your interest. So then you either vote or follow the party line, or you don't. When I say protest, I don't mean like in the streets. You don't vote with your feet, so to speak. So then you get looted one more time before the whole ship of state falls. That's been my view for the last 6 months to a year, that I've noticed marketers from all across the board, from every kind of product and or service, are marketing. They're marketing hard. They're going at consumers hard. And this is in a coronavirus situation where people are at home. Some people have money, some people don't. Some people are losing their homes. Some people are buying new homes. I'm just saying there's a lot of pain and suffering, and people are losing, in some cases, their life savings. And these marketers are going hard to get whatever they have left in their credit that they haven't used up, or in their cash that they haven't used up. And they're using fear and greed and very, very manipulative tactics, because they realize and they recognize we're probably going into a really bad recession or depression, much, much worse than 2008, 2009. And it's been bothering me and bugging me and making me angry. And I haven't really been able to put my finger on to prove that. This is just my suspicion, because I see marketers from every political persuasion, marketers from every genre. They're going hard, and they're going harder. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, you see their sales campaigns are going hard to get consumers to buy. I think it's because they really understand that the consumers at the end of its rope, the economy is probably going into the toilet in the next 6 months, 2 years, at least in the Western world. I can see it in Latin America and some other emerging markets where if we're not now, we're going to be more and more with the slower growth. We'll have to wait and see. And then in response to that, governments will keep printing money and doing bailouts. But because these marketing gurus can see that in their studies and stuff like that, I think they're going for the consumer one last time, realizing because they're going to have hard times because consumers don't have any, they're going to gotta get when getting's good and get it, fatten up right now their bank accounts before the consumers, in bankruptcy and doesn't have any money. Just the same with governments are doing the same thing. They're doing stimulus program after stimulus program in the United States, EU, Great Britain, with the idea soon there won't be a lot of tax revenue coming in, and whatever money printing may not buy off people as much as it used to. So they're getting while the getting's good. And the government's fattening up their own bank accounts and their own insiders' bank accounts, meanwhile looting the taxpayer and the treasury. I think there's this understanding that all over the world, this is kind of the greatest boom we've ever had, and we're probably going into something really, really ugly and bad. And I think a lot of the policymakers and governments realize there's no easy fix when they get in it, so they got to get while the getting is good. It just reminds me of what happened in Russia. When Russia was collapsing, they collapsed. They literally had hyperinflation. And prior to that, the elites of that country was looting whatever they could and getting it offshore before it all happened. And they did that right up into the collapse and right into all that. And they became instant billionaires. I think a version of that's happening in all these Western countries, the Western capitals of the world. And it just bothers me. I don't have a solution to it other than think for yourself, start your own business, and recognize you're being manipulated by all these social media platforms. You're being manipulated by the media. You're being manipulated by the government to tolerate all this, put up with it, and not protect yourself, financially speaking, like putting money offshore or buying gold or whatever, or getting a residency or second passport, things like that. Because meanwhile, a lot of the elites, I'd be surprised if they weren't doing all those things. I'm pretty sure they actually are. In fact, sometimes it's irritating the way Warren Buffett and his crew badmouth gold, and while they're badmouthing gold, they're buying gold mining companies. And the same thing's happening in Bitcoin. There's people actively badmouthing Bitcoin while inside for their own portfolios. They're buying for their own portfolios while they badmouth it publicly. And then there's even people I know, well, I think I know, I'm not sure I 100% know, but I know some people saying they're not going to leave the United States. But if you listen to it for a long time, they keep talking about South America, giving you the impression they probably already have residency in, say, Paraguay. I'm not going to point any names, but you might know who I'm talking about. So these are just the times we live in. I don't know what else to say, but it's like we're being manipulated on a massive grand scale that's causing the looting of your bank account, or you're being impoverished because they're getting you to think and do things and spend money on things that benefits them, the establishment, and these marketing companies. And it doesn't really benefit you. You don't really get a good solution when you buy their product or service. You're just impoverished, and they make it very, very difficult for you to charge back because they're very highly manipulated. And then the other thing is governments are doing the same thing, but differently. So that's just my view on on that. But the other thing is, I think this causes a lot of anxiety in people because they realize they're being manipulated, but they don't know what to do about it. And some people don't realize they're being manipulated, but over time they start to figure it all out. It just causes a certain kind of internal anxiety. That's just a suspicion of mine. I don't have proof for it. It's just what I'm suspicious of. All this manipulation is causing a lot of anxiety in people, and I suspect it's meant to cause anxiety. I believe the establishment wants people to feel anxiety, fear, and greed, and stuff like that, to buy into their political solutions, which I don't think is going to be good for most Western countries. We'll have to wait and see. I personally think we're in the beginnings of all this. I don't know what it's all going to lead to. I'm leaning towards a lot of what their ambitions are that are bad. I mean, the establishment won't work out. We'll have to wait and see. There's other people who think I'm wrong because with all the AI, the robots, and this Chinese social credit system, we're gonna see a lot of crackdowns on our freedoms, which is true. We are seeing that. I'm just still thinking I don't know if it's going to work, because if they destroy the economy, what good will it do them? Or maybe they don't care that they destroy the economy, and then they have a bunch of slaves, and maybe they don't really care. Oh, I don't know. We'll have to see. But to me, it seems like if they destroy the productivity of the U.S. economy and the Eurozone economy, they're just impoverishing themselves. But maybe they don't care. I don't know. Anyways, that's it for now. This is at 20 minutes. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, please. And tell me what you think about all this anxiety, all this manipulation through social media, all this manipulation to get you to vote a certain way that's not in your interest, all this manipulation to get you to buy products and services that intentionally don't solve your problem, so you keep buying more and more, so you're just a consumer. getting more and more frustrated, more and more anxiety. And then they want you to take a pill to solve that too. All right, good night, YouTubers.